Yeah, remember all those fun characters from My Bloody Valentine 81? None of that here. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here with another movie review. And to close out the month of love, we're going to be taking a look at the My Bloody Valentine remake from 2009. As I had previously said in my review of the original My Bloody Valentine from 1981, check out the nifty card up there if you want to watch that review. I first saw this remake 15 years ago in the theater. The 3D craze was just about to come back in a big way, and this was actually the very first R-rated real 3D film released in the US, so kind of a cool bit of trivia there. But I haven't seen the movie since, so let's dive right in and see how well it's aged. Real quick, guys, before we get going, please click the like button, hit subscribe to see more, and jump on into the comments section below to let me know your thoughts. The film was directed by Patrick Lussier, who horror fans will recognize as the editor of the first 3 Scream films. It stars Jensen Ackles, Jamie King, and Kerr Smith, and while the movie is a remake of My Bloody Valentine 81, it takes its own twists and turns and has a completely different tone. The movie begins with a newspaper sequence that probably looked way cooler in 3D than it does years later in standard 2D, and it gives us the backstory of the film. We learn that there was a drilling accident in the mine caused by the owner's son Tom, played by Jensen Ackles, and 6 men were left down below. Now, Harry Warden, who was kind of a dick before this all started, ends up killing the other 5 men to conserve air. However, by the time he's found, he's in a coma, the town doesn't feel too bad for him, and he's stuck on life support. On Valentine's Day, Harry wakes up from his coma and promptly murders 22 people in brutal fashion. I mean, this hospital is an absolute bloodbath. It looks like Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers took care of everyone. Now, the police found Harry and shot him a couple times, and they believe he's dead, but we're not quite sure. Jump ahead 10 years and Tom has come back to town. We find out that he skipped out after the killing spree. He feels responsible for the accident and is having a really tough time dealing. But his father has recently passed away, and so he's returned to sell his stake in the mine, and everybody in town is pissed off at Tom. Not only do they blame him for the accident and a little bit for the killing spree, but now he's the guy that's gonna essentially shut down the mine and put most people out of their jobs. It's right around this time that the killing begins again, and you know the drill. Is it Harry Warden, or is somebody else carrying on his legacy? Now, a lot has changed in the town of Harmony in the last 10 years. Similar to the original film, Axel and Sarah are together. This time they're married and they have a kid, and while she's a really sweet wife to him, he is a dreadfully bad husband. He is cheating on her with one of her subordinates at the local grocery store, and at the beginning of the film, we find out that that girl is pregnant, so man, Axel couldn't get you right in either movie now, could they? Of course, Tom tries to rekindle things with Sarah, and that doesn't go over too well. She's kind of pissed at him about wanting to sell the mine, and he's just sort of like reactively getting pissed off at everyone, and he's also popping some pills to deal with the stress. I wonder if that's ever gonna come back into play. And it's through experiences like this with Sarah and an elderly gentleman at the local pub that sucker punches the hell out of Tom and starts a big old brawl that he decides to keep his stake in the mine and hang about town a little bit. This pisses Axel off to no end. He knows exactly why Tom's here. Tom's here to steal Sarah back, end of story. And once a heart shows up in a candy box at the police station, it doesn't take Axel too long to put a few other things together here. Tom comes back to town, the killing starts happening again. He's seen on the security footage where the first killing takes place. I mean, come on. And as the story goes on, the bodies continue to pile up, and it's not looking too good for Tom. He's conveniently at these locations, but for some reason spared by the killer, and he swears that it's Harry Warden out there, starting it all over again. Tom convinces Sarah to go with him to the mine so he can prove his innocence once and for all, but Axel's found out that Tom's been in a mental institution this entire time, calls Sarah and begs her to not go there with him. She tries to get Tom to stop the vehicle, but he tells her that it's been Axel the whole time, and she doesn't know who she can trust. On the one hand, her ex-boyfriend who's been gone for 10 years and popping pills and might have been in a mental institution. On the other hand, her creepy husband that bangs the people that work for her at the grocery store. Our three main characters meet up at the mine, and Sarah is clearly in peril here, but she still doesn't know who she can trust. There's a standoff between the three, things are getting very heated, and we see Harry Warden approaching from the back of the mine. Tom tries to warn Sarah, but she looks back, and no one's there. Axel looks, no one's there. Tom looks, he's shaking in fear. And we get this secret window Fight Club kind of moment where we find out that Tom has been hallucinating Harry the entire time, and he has been the one killing everybody. And yeah, it's something you can kind of see coming from a mile away. Axel and Tom fight it out as Sarah struggles to do anything, even though she's armed with a pistol, but she finally gets her wherewithal, shoots at a tank, blows the whole damn place up. Her and Axel escape, the rescue crew comes in to see if there's anything left, and Tom is still alive, and we get more killing. He escapes in the rescuer's outfit, looks right at the camera, and walks off, but yet again, we don't get a sequel. So I'm happy to say that I had a pretty alright time revisiting this film. It's not as good as the original, not even close. I mean, the original is a bona fide classic, but I do think it's a little bit of a better film than Valentine, which I covered last week. Check out the card up there. But I might have had more fun with Valentine, just laughing at it because it was so over the top and bad. The one big positive for me here is actually kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I really love how they explain why Tom's been gone for 10 years. You know, he's so guilt-ridden over the accident, he feels responsible and just had to get out. In the original film, TJ leaves for I think a year, and you never get an explanation. It seems like he just left to see what life was like outside of the small town. But here in the remake, it's much more character-driven and emotional, and that's also kind of the negative side because this film is no fun at all. It's completely laced with drama. It's mostly centered around the love triangle and those three characters, you know, with killing and mining town drama peppered in the background, but no Hollis, no zany Ted-like character from Friday the 13th that we got in the original, and yeah, it just sort of feels gloomy. And another positive is that most of the kills here are pretty fun. Yeah, not all the 3D stands up. I mean, it's been 15 years and I'm watching on a TV here at home, so there are a few moments that are like, ugh. But for the most part, they work for me. And something that I gotta bring up, I mean, I guess you can call it a negative. You know, usually I'm okay with nudity in films, especially in slashers. I just think they're kind of part of the genre, so it doesn't really bug me that much. But that whole, like, full frontal nude scene with Irene where not only is she having sex with the trucker, but then she chases him outside of the motel, completely naked the whole time, running away from the killer, completely naked the whole time, and then getting killed, completely naked the whole time, just seems a little over the top. I don't know if they were trying to compete with the depravity of like Rob Zombie's Halloween movies here, or if they were just trying to give the audience a little something fun to look at in 3D, but for some reason it just plays really odd to me and was kind of jarring. So let's talk about the acting a little bit. Jensen Ackles. Well, he's not as bad as David Boreanaz, but I still get those TV actor vibes from him. He just goes from like 0 to 10 emotionally really quick. There's not much subtlety here, and I think the character's lacking a bit as a result. Jamie King and Kerr Smith do pretty alright with what they have to work with, but again, the story is just kind of gloomy. It does have a little bit of that CW feel, not nearly as much as Valentine did because Valentine was just so blown out and flat looking, but this film does feel like it could be on TV. I can't mention the acting without talking about the wonderful Tom Atkins, or as I like to call him, Tom Stashkins. The man is just the coolest. He's got the awesomest mustache in all of horror, and I'm so pumped that he's in this film, even though he's got one of the more cringy 3D deaths. As far as the directing, cinematography, and editing goes, the film certainly shines in moments. A lot of the gore looks really good, like I had mentioned, but you can tell that the 3D technology does hamper the film. And also, the overall look of the movie is very smooth, almost like it was shot on video. And those high drama scenes where the characters go back and forth, they look kind of flat and made for TV. Overall, I think the team here did a pretty alright job, but I can see why the movie never got a sequel. Perhaps if they carried over some of that fun-loving nature from the original, we would have seen a brand new franchise launch. But as it stands, the movie is just kind of dreary, gloomy, but at least it's got boobs, butts, and blood. Guys, that is gonna wrap it up for my review of My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009. Please give the video a like if you enjoy this kind of content, hit subscribe if you'd like to see more, and jump on into the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts on the film and what else you want to see here on the channel. Thank you so much for coming by. Until next time, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.